Welcome back to the Warcraft news. The dry spell has very much been washed away with an absolute torrent of stuff, and the forecast very much is that there is more to come. Now, if you've been under a rock, check out our video on Mop Remix, the new time-running feature coming to 10.2.7. If you want to hear more of those, stay tuned, because there's a very short testing period through the weekend, and we will have been going into that pretty hard to bring you a comprehensive video near the start of the week. Now, if you want a brief summary before we get into the news, basically in the modern client, you'll get to make a special event character to experience the entire of the Mop expansion from 10 through 70, including all dungeons, raids, scenarios, and patch quests, scaled to certain breakpoints. There's a whole crazy new style of accelerated gearing, tons of Mop rewards to be earned. There's a rather whopping 32 new Pandaria mounts that have been data mined, and when the event's done, you can take that event character into the war within, which is pretty sweet. Now, there are some clarifications that Blizzard have given, so let's hop into the news portion then. The original Legendary Cloak quest sadly won't be available. That really sucks. I've got to imagine there is some technical reason why. Basically, that quest line just had a lot of cool stuff, some pretty fun moments, and it characterized Rathian a lot, so it sucks that it's not here. I would like to hear why, actually. That would be good. Anyway, for other things, any rewards that were only available during Mists, like the Warwolf, the Challenge Mode sets, and the Heirlooms, those won't be available either. Essentially, think of this like a crazy spin on Time Walking more than it is a new version of what Classic looks like, if that makes sense. Of course, by the time this video is live, we will have done a whole bunch of testing on PTR, so expect some sort of video with all the interesting things we think you should know very soon. And if you'd like to support us in doing all of that news and our sort of ongoing mission to make here bigger and better, which we're taking very goddamn seriously for War Within, check out Bellular.games. So over there, number one, it's the best way that you could support us if you wanted to. That does have the most impact. But also, by being over there, you get access to our videos early and ad-free. Like we got multiple lore videos. I think by the time this video goes up, at least one. There's a big one at midnight, as well as some other stuff that's there early. There's also the Lore Walking podcast, which is very fun. I'm working on some other stuff that I can't cook up, and you'll also benefit from all the stuff that we do over the news channel. So all of our news videos early, ad-free, as well as Loading Screen, which is our daily newsletter about what's going on in the gaming industry. So there's a bunch of stuff there, and yeah, if you want to support us, Bellular.games is the place to do that. Big thank you to everyone who does. And with that said, let's talk about data mining. Next, let's talk data mining. 10.2.7 in PTR means data mining, and first, our collective goth girlfriend has a new in-game model, and it looks great. Of course, we already knew that these Harbinger quests on the roadmap would be about Xal'atath, but I think seeing this just makes it all feel a bit more real, and this is a cool moment because we're about to get a proper expansion prologue quest, right? And that means you'll be going into the War Within with insane things such as context, character motivation, and setup, which is pretty good for a story, so yeah, I'm glad they're doing that. More immediately though, we've got some new UI updates. First, Hunters. Your stables are way better. I mean, this is gorgeous. It is so much better. It's full of features like searching, sorting, favoriting, on top of just more information and looking way more pretty. I think Hunters will also be happy to hear that you can now rename your pets from the right-click menu. So, 2 game-changing dream features knocked out in one. Can I have a Hunter rework, though? Anyway, other new UI updates have happened, and they're very welcome. Group filters. Look at all of these filtering options that you now have for filtering groups in Mythic Plus. That's brilliant. So at long last, you'll no longer need an add-on to see the comp of a group that you intend to join. This may not seem like much, but to anyone who wasn't using the pre-made groups filter add-on or an equivalent add-on, basically the group finder is going to be way more usable. We kind of forget as like dedicated players of the game that just some, basic features that make a smooth user experience for everyone. We do our add-ons or whatever, we work around it, but we kind of forget how impactful in a negative way that is to just the average player. So stuff like this is a good investment in just the basics, I suppose, of WoW. Also, dragon riding races are now toggleable on the map. It's maybe a few patches late, but it's nice that they've done that. Now, with all these updates in 10.2.7, we may have a lot of unexpected UI fixes coming in 11.0, because it does actually look like they're working on that sort of thing, so yeah, I've actually got high hopes, but I mean, we'll see. The alpha for 11.0 will be pretty damn soon. Now, the other part of data mining is pretty obviously all the nice-looking things. We've got the Draenei and Troll Heritage Armor. I think both are looking really good. Not everyone is super happy with the Draenei set because it's like a blend of everything instead of leaning into one aesthetic. If you take a look at some of this older Draenei concept art, you can see where the main thing is. I think for me, I just don't like the helm. I think the helm kind of like messes it up, but I do think that about most helms in WoW. Then, of course, the Troll set, there's a Dark Spear sort of original one, and then a more recognizable Horde variant. That's looking great. There's a bucket full of beach outfits, diving suits, and a Murloc onesie. Seemingly, that could be maybe like a revamped Midsummer Fire Festival, maybe a whole new summer-themed event. I don't know, maybe World of Warcraft will finally get its beach episode. There's also a bunch of Pandaria stuff here, like look at this Shadowpan set. You can finally get a real version of it. Seemingly, there's also Chen's hat and keg, amongst some other things. There's also, though, lots of non-Pandaria mounts. Most importantly, Night Elves and Orcs are doing some swapsies. Here are Wolves all dressed up in Elven armor and Saber Cats in, Orcish gear. Kind of interesting. There's also a quartet of saddled Old God Fish, and another quartet of these absolutely radical propelled rocket surfboards. And bees. Bees can now walk on the ground instead of hover, so that's nice. On the content front then, the Dragonflight campaigns no longer require renown to do, so if you join late and you never bothered with them, you can just go and do that story quest stuff. There's also a new quest in Belameth that puts a little bit of closure onto the Primalists. It's weird. Definitely things have happened off screen. I'm kind of willing to let it slide because it seems to me like they're just trying to wrap up their shit so they can move on. There's also some interesting changes in the Telogris Rift, which is the Void Elf-like space area, and I think it does show us that our Xal'atath quests will probably take us there, so that's quite neat. And speaking of the Xal'atath quests, we did find some quest names, and honestly, they're actually pretty damn cool. So here's a few of them. The first is Walk a Mile in Her Shoes. The second is And Be One Traveller Long I Stood, which is a line from The Road Not Taken by Robert Frost, which I think may have some implications about, implications for us about Xal'atath's relationship with the Void's nature, that of the sort of infinite possibilities. I suppose the question is, what road is she going to take? It's a poem that's written as a friendly joke about somebody who couldn't decide, so I suppose it also does fit Xal'atath's playfulness. Anyway, plenty of story to come, and with that said, let's talk about all of the other Warcraft news. I'm going to kick it off with Cataclysm Classic because Blizzard are speedrunning it. They probably know that of the expansions targeted by Classic, that Cata is the least exciting. It's also it's an expansion that was quite uneven in content. So what they're doing is they're having pre-patch April 30th, launching May 20th, and it will be entirely over after the Dragon Soul lands January next year. And that makes it the shortest Classic by a completely obscene amount. And that does mean there's questions worth asking here. Is it worth removing Wrath servers for this? Why do Cata Classic if it's just the same Azeroth as today, but smaller? All those sorts of things that I suppose are popping up in players' heads. But obviously, because it's shorter, it does mean Mists of Pandaria Classic will probably be sooner. Does seem like that's the plan anyway. Oh, and also, if you've got your wallet at the ready, well, there is some Warcraft stuff to buy. People notice there's a 20th anniversary collector's edition version of The War Within that's on the store. Blizzard didn't advertise it, but they did have like a ticking down timer sort of banner on the store page. A bunch of us got emails about it, like not official Blizzard press emails. I mean, just like anyone who's bought stuff from the Blizzard store, it seems, got emails. Anyway, look, the 15th anniversary edition was actually pretty nice, so yeah, maybe this will be cool. Now, let's end with quickfire, all the other news. Warcraft Rumble's datamined PC version has a new build that's been pushed to servers, so maybe that will be entering public testing soon enough. Also, Blizzard's quarrel with NetEase is now over. The Chinese servers are coming back online this summer with a new lease of life. There's content creator opportunities, new anti-cheat esports plans, and a literal rebuilding, because the Gorehowl statue that was quite famously torn down, seemingly in a bit of rage, because it does look like Bobby kind of skewered the deal. Anyway, that's being rebuilt, and they are inscribing comments onto it to sort of signify the significance of the thing being reforged, the relationship, that is. Which, might all seem a bit weird to us, but remember, World of Warcraft, absolutely humongous in China, so for a lot of people over there, well, the game that they like just disappeared for a year and a half, and many of them were still able to play, of course, by using a VPN and, say, Taiwanese servers, but still, anyway, it's a pretty big deal for them. Also, Taivan has been nerfed, because now he's too small. And very much people have their pitchforks out over this, which I do kind of understand. Taivan's a very big dog, so whenever, you know, he ended up being a player mount and was still really big, people like that. Whenever they made him small to feel more reasonably scaled as a mount, kind of took away some of the uniqueness. So, I don't know, make Taivan big again. Yes, I'm there with you. With my pitchfork. Also, Plunderstorm stats. Blizzard posted them. On Twitter, they have a fun video that shows off some key things. So, 641,000 matches have been played. Some mad lad has won 321 games. The basic attack is, in fact, the most deadly weapon, with Fire Whirl / Rime Arrow being the favorite of game winners, actually. Though I do have to wonder how much that is skewed by the initial surge of players and how OP Fire Whirl was back then. Because even if somebody escaped the Fire Whirl, you would normally have done enough damage to just ping them with a Rime Arrow. But anyway, the Storm has also killed about as many people as the Toxic Smackerel has. A lot of people died to the Storm. So, there you go. That is it for today's episode of the news. There will be a lot more news, though. Trust me, it's going to be a very busy week, so stay tuned to the channel. With that said, though, have a brilliant day. Thank you for tuning in. I'll see you next time.